Hey there, good people. It's your girl, Memphis Jones, and you are here visiting my channel, the Hey Dear Blog. I want to start off first by wishing you all a happy new year. I hope that crossing over into 2025 gave you much joy and appreciation for the new chances that we have been given to start a new year with new thoughts, new dreams, and encourage one another to excel and succeed throughout the next 365 days. So, why am I here? I am here because I was tagged by the incomparable academic and author, Hannah from Hannah's Books, to do the gratitude tag that was created by our educator extraordinaire, Pat, from Book Chat with Pat. Pat created this tag recently due to hitting an amazing number of subscribers in less than a year. I will check her channel before posting and put the current subscriber number here because I know that she has excelled and succeeded in the number that she started out with. Why? Because she is a go-getter. She is consistent. And she is getting the information out there and the book recommendations out there that you all want and that you all need. And she's doing so very thoroughly and very succinctly. Because she's a teacher. Retired, but an educator nonetheless. And what do we really like? Educators. Because they teach us new things and they open our horizons to information that we would not have necessarily sought out on our own. So, it took me a while to get around to the tag because I actually did not notice that I had been tagged in one of Hannah's videos. I make a habit of binge watching Hannah's books because I really enjoy her content, I enjoy her delivery, and I enjoy her vocal stylings, which I find to be very relaxing, calming, and soothing. In doing so, I just happened to watch the gratitude tag, and at the end of the tag, Hannah actually said my name, and I had a fangirl moment. It was surreal because I believe it's my first tag. If it isn't, it's the first that I've caught. So somehow I need to figure out how to pay attention to if I have been tagged in a video so that I can ensure that I go back in a timely manner and respond. Nevertheless, we're here now, so we're going to complete Pat's gratitude tag. Let's get started. Now, the prompts for Pat's gratitude tag are joy, friendship, laughter, community, and gratitude. With those, she has provided a few questions that go under each of those headings. So let's start with joy. And Pat, being the lovely, lovely educator that she is, has included a quote that goes along with each of the prompts. So the quote for joy says, "Let's be grateful to the people who make us happy. They are the charming gardeners who make our souls blossom." And that's by Marcel Proust or Proust. Someone would please correct me in the comments. Question 1 under the joy heading says, name an author whose books bring you joy or discuss a specific book that made you feel joyful. The very first book that jumped into my mind was the book How Y'all Doing by Leslie Jordan. Leslie Jordan is a Southern LGBTQ plus male who has been on the scene as an actor for many, many years. You may recall that he passed away after having a medical episode while driving to the set of the show that he was currently starring on. And I can't remember the full name of the show, but it had cat in the title, and it was with Mayim Bialik and Kyla Pratt and a few other well-known actors and actresses. That was a big blow to the community of actors that he belonged to, as well as the community and culture that he belonged to since his young adulthood. Um, the gay community. Leslie had a huge personality in a small frame, and he became a stalwart presence on Instagram during the pandemic. His numbers just skyrocketed because he brought so much joy and laughter, but he also just made you feel really good. And his book, which is narrated by him, it's a memoir. If you listen to the audiobook, he is narrating the book, and it's hilarious. I laughed and chuckled throughout listening to this book, and I listened to the book while I was at work doing some fairly monotonous tasks. So I could do that. I could listen to it and not interfere with what I was working on. But the people who sit nearest to me did have to endure my cackles because he is hilarious. He also can't sing worth a flip, but honey, he would break out in song of these old Christian hymns that he used to sing when he was a youngster growing up in Chattanooga, because he grew up in a Christian home and he loved going to church. He loved singing, and he was the son of a military man. So, kudos to Leslie for leaving a wonderful legacy behind, um, although his death was very untimely. Question 2 under the joy heading is, discuss something about BookTube that you find joyful. I find or have found in the BookTube community, once you have yourself a niche and you have narrowed down into a community, there are people who are there to assist you be great, assist you be better than you were when you started, assist you with feeling more comfortable behind the camera, assist you with recommendations on how you can be better. But most of all, you find people who just want to accept you for who you are and be friends. And I have met some wonderful people through the screen. One of those, outside of the lovely Hannah from Hannah's Books, is James. Excuse me, I have a cold. But James from Little Big Library, he and Bella is his pooch, are the nicest of friends of mine. And I call James Brother James because he's Southern and I'm Southern. And if you know anything about us, we call everybody brother and sister because in Christ we are brothers and sisters. This to me has been the most wonderful aspect of being on YouTube. It's just the community that I have been able to develop, and it is not a large community, it's a rather small community. But I ensure that when I am watching other creators' content, and I watch a ton of YouTube, I watch more YouTube than I do regular television. I watch these channels under my personal account, Memphis Jones. I don't watch them under my creator account, not mostly. But if I want to respond to them so that they know who I am, I will go back and respond to them under my creator account. But under my account of Memphis Jones, I have full-on conversations. I like to compliment Plant-Based Bride for her very concise reviews. I like to compliment, who else? Somebody, she's on the tip of my tongue, MJ, for her very creative style and the fact that she makes it a point of introducing us to new YouTubers or YouTubers with low subscriber counts, because you may not have normally been made aware of these individuals through the algorithm. So she makes it a point to go out and introduce you to individuals that you may not have normally come in contact with in your normal scrolling or what YouTube is. suggesting to you from the algorithm. All right, so the next tag heading is friendship. And the quote we have here is, kindred spirits are not so scarce as I used to think. It's splendid to find out there are so many of them in the world. This is by L.M. Montgomery, author of Anne of Green Gables. That's beautiful. Speaking of Anne of Green Gables, Plant Based Bride did a full reread of all of the books of Anne of Green Gables, which I had never read, but I enjoyed watching her go through the process of reading them and rediscovering those for herself, and also discovering which ones she still liked and missed and had the nostalgia for, as well as the ones that she realized that she did not connect to anymore. Everyone that I mentioned here, I will tag their channels in the comments below. All right, so the question is, discuss a book that focuses primarily on friendship. As part of my reading goals for this year, I set a goal to ensure that I read 65 books. Now, I started the year late. I started my YouTube channel late in the year, so I really didn't get on a good clip of consumption until about April. So when I was thinking about the books that I was consuming this year, the most recent books came to mind as being nothing but friendship. And that is A Psalm for the Wild Built and the follow-on book, A Prayer for the Crowned Shy. These books are by Becky Chambers. These books are about a friendship developing between a conscious robot and a T-Monk. It sounds weird, but this is a very different society than the ones that we live in now. It's a futuristic society, and during the progression of this society, they live on a moon called Panga, and they had an industrialized society, and the robots were built to do all of the labor. But the robots became conscious of the life that they led, and at some point they decided it no longer fit for them. And through an agreement with themselves and the humans, they went out into the wild. And so the two entities had not crossed in many years. And one day, Sibling Dex, the T-Monk, he's having a bit of a crisis of consciousness himself. He doesn't know what he wants to do. He doesn't know how he wants to be, how he wants to behave. He doesn't know, he started out as a garden monk, which he was well trained for, and then he just decided all of a sudden that was no longer a fit for him. And between the two books, you realize that after they have met and learned each other a little bit, and then they start to grow and visit the different towns together, the lack of fulfillment that they are both starting to feel in various ways in relation to what they are having to do versus what they really want to do becomes really a major plot point outside of environmentalism. There is some queer representation as Sibling Dex goes by they and them. There seems to be a three-person society, he, she, and they. Four, because if you count the robot. And so one thing that never fails between them is their friendship and their willingness to sit down and discuss and talk about what they're feeling. Dex has to explain a lot to the robot's name is Moscap. It's actually like speckled something Moscap, which is a mushroom. Whatever they see first when they wake up from creation is what their name is. So that's why he's named after a mushroom. They learn a lot from each other, but also in teaching each other, they have a lot of introspective moments within themselves as to why things are the way they are, why they understand something to be the way it is, as they hear themselves explaining it to the other. And throughout, they maintain a friendship and a willingness to be very candid with one another, that neither one of them had experienced within their own culture, within their own groupings. All right, so the next category headed is laughter. And the quote here says, "There's nothing like deep breaths after laughing that hard. Nothing in the world like a sore stomach for the right reasons." This is by Stephen Chbosky, the writer of The Perks of Being a Wildflower. I couldn't agree more. When I have laughed so hard that I am fighting for breath, that is the most wonderful belly laugh. I call it like the Kool-Aid man. I mean, it's a great, wonderful, freeing feeling. It almost seems like you just released a bunch of toxins out of your system when you have a great laugh like that. And the question is, discuss an author or a specific book that makes you laugh. I'm going to put here Shatter the Sky by Merle Tingenstall. Merle has written her memoir as the only female black YouTube spy plane pilot to date. And if you know, the U-2 is slated to go out of service in the coming year or years. The book is a memoir, but my goodness, I laughed out loud throughout the book because it's broken up between her childhood, young adulthood, things she did in high school, things she did in college, and then joining the Navy first and then progressing into the Air Force to become a U-2 pilot. She has a very straightforward way of saying things, but some of the things that she says, you're just like, did I just read that right? Is that what she said? I mean, you have to read the book or listen to the audiobook to really grasp what I'm saying, but it's the driest New York humor ever. But one really, really funny aspect of, because I read the book, half of the book I read, and then the second half of the book I consumed on audio. What you don't get in the paperback that you get in the audio is her musical talents. Sister can't sing worth a lick, but that didn't stop her from making. Now, she is musically inclined because she plays instruments, but one of the ways she would calm down was to write songs about people and situations. And she wrote some songs about somebody that was just a pure hater, coward, yada yada. When the music and the singing came through my speakers, y'all, I hollered. I hollered. I hollered. And I have requested that she release those by themselves. I don't care if it's on IG or YouTube, however she decides to do it, if she decides to do it, but to release those junks so that we can learn all the words and use them ourselves as a way to de-escalate and relate our feelings to the next coward that we encounter on our day-to-day journeys in life. Honey, 2025, we need that song. You're getting tagged. Yes, you are. Anyway, the next category is community. We cannot live only for ourselves. 1,000 fibers connect us with our fellow man by Herman Melville. The question is, discuss a book where the idea of community is important. The book I made mention of here is The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry by Gabrielle Zevin. This book was not on my radar at all, but after watching John, uh, I watched him every time. Sierra. Every time they have a new video, I can't click on it fast enough. John and Sierra over at and we were readers. If you watch them, you'll get that. And they discussed the storied life of A.J. Fickery. This book, I mean, it starts out with the most um, irritated Ebenezer Scrooge like human. Um, who runs a bookstore. And what you later find is that he's basically just grieving the loss of his wife. And nothing anyone does, says, whatever, makes him feel good, better about his life. Everything is just doom and gloom for him. But he meets a bookseller, a book dealer, who comes to share with him the latest catalog from her publisher, and he's extremely rude. He goes home that night, and the one prized possession he has is a rare first print copy edition of Edgar Allan Poe. And I forget what the name of the book itself is, but he keeps it locked up. This night he decides to pull it out. He's drinking some wine, he's attempting to eat, and he just passes out. And when he wakes up, the book is gone. And that starts his journey of, you know, meeting the town sheriff more than once. The town sheriff was also the individual who was there when his wife passed. Um, then he has all of these different, like, calamitous situations. And he goes to the bookstore one day, and a baby has been left in the bookstore. And the baby was basically left as an orphan. So he ends up raising the baby into adulthood. Without the community that was being built around him, in spite of himself, I don't think that he would have survived. Um, his business probably would have completely failed. He would not have been able to raise the young Maya. Um, but the community aspect of this book makes it so heartwarming, even with all of the things that happen to and around him, all the way to the very end. It keeps you like in a state of, oh my God, is he going to make it through this? Oh, I hope he makes it through this. And then at the end, you're rooting for the rudest guy in the book. But it's because of the community around him that he is able to do all of these seemingly unconnected, difficult things that in the end were all connected. But community made it work. That book also has a movie. In the movie, the key role, the protagonist, is played by, hmm, I can't think of his name, but he's in the Big Bang Theory. He plays Raj in Big Bang. Um, you'll like it. Look it up. If you got Hoopla, it's on there. Please excuse my congestion. I have not been well for like since Sunday. Discuss a communal reading experience that you have had. Okay, so one communal reading experience that I have on the forefront of my mind because it was amazing. It was hilarious. It was eye opening. And it was in the midst of sisterhood. So when I created the Hey Dear blog, it initially was just as a distraction from the furlough, honestly. And many of my peers are Department of Defense employees. Excuse me. This is Christmas Punch. You know what that is. or mulled wine. This is why I love when the season comes because you can have mulled wine. Anyway, the book that I think that the second book that we started into in our little book club, because this site was started out as a book club on Facebook as a private group, and in addition to that, I also would set up service projects to do in the community. Because those service projects received so much attention, individuals wanted to participate and help, but they weren't able to get the information because the group was closed. So eventually, I archived the book club and then opened up a Facebook page for the Hey Dear blog, so that I could do more service projects and allow more community involvement from individuals who otherwise would not know me. But prior to doing that, in the book club, we read a book called The Mother of Black Hollywood by Jennifer Lewis. Jennifer Lewis is a force to be reckoned with, period. And I know that she has since written a second book about her life beyond where this one ends, and I need to get my hands on that. But Jennifer Lewis has been part of Hollywood and the New York theatrical scene, honey, from way back. She started out on the stage. Um, she's from St. Louis, Missouri, small town living, small southern country girl living, but always was the big voice coming out of a small person kind of a situation in church and choir. And anyway, she ended up going to New York and being on stage. I mean, she just has this larger than life personality. And she parlayed the theatrical into television, and she always plays like an auntie or grandma or something like that to the people that we know of now. But to know her before, you would have been like, child, you are something. I mean, when I tell you that this book, I found it to be physically exhausting trying to keep up with her in the book, literally. I have a blog write up on this book, and I will link that below in the comments. But when I tell you this book had me physically exhausted, I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. And so, in our discussions on this book, in our book community, um, when it was so amazing because the age ranges of everybody in the group is it varied, right? Um, so some of the ladies in the group are on par with Jennifer in age, and they remember various things about her from ages that others of us had no context outside of what we were reading. And to just have those conversations about what life was in different time frames in different communities and to where we are now. It was an education in culture, an education in Black culture, an education in Black female culture, um, that ranged, over a 60-year time span. So I found that to be really endearing and an inviting moment in a book club, a young book club's history, because there was so much to discover and learn about each other, not just about Miss Jennifer Lewis, but it just opened up conversation amongst us for so many other things. So, the last heading here is gratitude. And the quote here is, I could no other answer make but thanks and thanks. and that's William Shakespeare from the Twelfth Night. I have so much gratitude for all of you who have decided to join me here on my little channel here. I mean, I don't have a lot of subscribers, but I am so grateful to you all. And I tell you what, when I lose one subscriber, I'm like, what did I do wrong to send them away? Oh my gosh. I mean, it really just sends my mind to thinking, what could I have done better to keep the one, you know? Anyway, the question here is name a book in which a character demonstrates real gratitude, or name a book that left you feeling a sense of gratitude. So here, uh, I'm going with the Bible. I am. And within the Bible, I am going with the book of Job because um, there's a song in Black Christian music called Jesus Will Work It Out. And in this song, it goes through various points of the Bible, of stories of heroism, of stories of, how things could have gone, but Jesus worked it out. And one of the stories talks about Job and how he had been sick so long that the flesh fell from his bones. His wife, cows, and children, everything that he had was gone. And how his wife came to him and told him to curse his God and die. And how he said, you know, wife of mine, who are you? And in the end, the gratitude that he chose to express versus what his wife was advising um, ensured that not only did he receive everything he had prior to the sickness and the loss, but it was increased to an extent that he could not have fathomed to request any of the of what he was given in the end, but he chose gratitude, right? Gratitude is a choice. Gratitude is a choice. Um, and I choose gratitude in 2025. I hope that you follow me in that trend. Some trends are not worth following, but the expression and choice of gratitude is one that you can never go wrong.